They're required to do it to get their job done, and that's the most important thing for them. User control and freedom. Users often choose system functions by mistake and will need a clearly marked emergency exit. Don't trap users in an uncontrolled state within the application. Give them an out. Help them to get their job done. Extensive use case analysis is required to map all the states a user could find themselves in when interacting with this Simple Edit interface and have a logic opt-out option, a logical opt-out option. Consistency and standards. Again, this is talking to the standard computing environment. Basically, if a term is used to perform a particular function in a number of applications that a user is using on a day-to-day basis, use that term to do that function in your Simple Edit interface, lowering the barriers to entry and not leaving people feeling cold about the fact that they have to reinterpret commonly understood terms just because they're using another application. Error prevention. Even better than good error messages is a careful design which prevents a problem from occurring in the first place. Eliminate error-prone conditions or check for them and present users with a confirmation option before they commit to an action. So you're giving them the opportunity to work through a process, give them feedback, but if they're really not sure about what's going to happen next, then they need the opportunity to basically step away from that process without losing all of their work and essentially seek advice. Okay, new tools for Simple Edit interface developers. Addressing the lessons and key considerations outlined above or in previous slides demands some application extensibility tools that offer both clearly defined APIs, application programming interfaces, and flexibility within that interface. So, of recent times, I've been really excited about the integration options that are now available in MySource Matrix, particularly the JavaScript API for GPLers, as I like to call them, and the SOAP server asset that's now available in SSV. The JavaScript API obviously comes in the SSV version as well. These two interfaces give us or expose Matrix at a level that it's never been exposed before. We can hook directly into key features and functions of Matrix or core functions of Matrix at a programmatic level, which allows us to then work very hard on the interface to make sure that we're developing a truly extensible interface into Matrix for our Simple Edit interface users who have so little time and so much to do. The JavaScript API, it's available in all versions of MySource Matrix. It provides hooks into MySource Matrix functions using widely understood framework of Ajax and JSON. So it's using the standards that are out there and that are understood by application developers. These standards are largely what sits behind some of the rich applications that we're seeing rolled out on the web today. So it's great to see that Matrix is adopting those standards and using them. Some of the, we've talked about a few of these things already as throughout the conference, but I just wanted to run through some of the actual interfaces that the JavaScript API provides. It provides asset management, asset linking, permissions, general system traversal, and metadata, and that list is expanding all the time. So whilst I've just run through that very quickly, that is actually there's quite a lot of opportunity to start doing some really great stuff with Matrix, but abstracting the interface away from Matrix and to the needs of your Simple Edit interface users. The SOAP server API, I'm very excited about this, and for those Tasmanian clients who came along, I recently did a presentation on the SOAP server. It took an hour, and I could have talked for 2 on it easily. I'm extremely excited about this as it allows us to set up an API into Matrix using the Simple Object Application Protocol that we can control. We can control it at a permission level. We can decide how much we want to expose in terms of the core features of Matrix and how little we want to expose in a very clear and concise manner. So it's really, this is fantastic. You can open up your system to other applications so that they can interact with it on a level never actually possible before in a clearly defined API that is controlled by the people or the business owners of MySource Matrix very easily. Some of the interfaces that are available through the SOAP API are the asset service, essentially all of the asset functions that you could possibly need. Design and lookup service, so the application and removal of designs and the querying of assets to see what designs and paint layouts they have applied to them. The file service, the ability to pull and push files into Matrix. Link service, the ability to move links within Matrix, so relinking content throughout the system. The metadata service, applying and removing metadata to assets and updating metadata content. Permissions and roles, obviously working to apply the appropriate permissions and roles or remove the appropriate permissions and roles from assets. Search service, the ability to search Matrix through the SOAP server API. We're not interacting with the the admin interface at this level. We're talking about a programmatic hook into the system using the open protocol of SOAP and the workflow service, so the application removal of workflow from assets. If you consider the feature-rich nature of this new feature of Matrix and the possibilities that it exposes, particularly in the world of simple edit interface design, all of a sudden the sky starts becoming the limit. These APIs provide a greater range of tools for the MySource Matrix SEI developers, which in turn means the consideration of and the addressing of the key considerations talked about previously should not be hampered by technical roadblocks requiring awkward workarounds. So in the past, yeah, we've had to do a couple of things that make our simple edit interfaces work in the way that we want them to. Now we're liberated. We can start really building some interfaces into Matrix that talk to our users' needs, create value for our simple edit interface users. And for business owners out there, I'm sure you're thinking, if I can create a user interface that I can roll out quickly, that delivers utility to my distributed authors, that I can control closely, I'm going to drive down the cost of generating content for my website throughout the organisation. I am going to really deliver value through this. And whilst Matrix is an excellent tool for managing that content, now we can build interfaces that lower the barriers to entry and that conform to some of those key considerations that I outlined before. Okay, thank you very much. Had to be very quick. I'm going to hand over now to Maria. For those of you that are interested, we have a Twitter feed out there, squiz_Hobart, and we'll keep people up to date, certainly locally and throughout Australia. If you're interested, please follow us on Twitter. So thank you.
I'll call mine, I've got the same title, mainly because I was too lazy to change it, except for my name down the bottom. Just a little bit about University of Tasmania and where we are at the moment. It used to be just me and part of someone else who was responsible for supporting the UTAS web developers. Now we've got a major centrally funded project. We went through a trial pilot system with Matrix, and now we're looking at implementing it across all of our websites. We have a central web services team, so it's grown from 1.5 to 11 currently. We've actually got policies that are going to be backed up by senior management. A centrally endorsed visual standard. I guess before we've just had vague suggestions that we could or we tried to implement unsuccessfully in some cases. And also we're increasingly moving towards a process where we want web development and to be taken seriously as a skill. So it gets written into people's PDs, it gets supported by performance management and recognised as a part of their work, so they're not doing it off the side of their desk. Now our web environment, we've got about 640 websites spread around many servers, some external. There'd be some that are representing the university very effectively, and there are some feral mutant offspring tied to the dog kennel that we're all trying to reel in. We've got about 200 web developers, and the proportions of expertise, it's just a guesstimate of mine from about 8.5 years of supporting them. Some people never move out of the novice class, either because they don't do the work very frequently or they have to use a tool which they're not natively familiar with. And our tools have been Dreamweaver contributed